My brother calls me his princess and transfers money to me as allowance. His wife, to be, misunderstands and thinks I'm his secret lover. She crashes my new apartment, which I've lovingly decorated with a group of friends and family. I can't believe you're someone's secret lover when you're so young. I'll teach you a lesson on your parents' behalf. I'm going to spread your illicit relationship online so your teachers and classmates will all know how shameless you are. They trash my new apartment and rip my clothes off. Then they make sure to get my student ID. In the scene as they record me getting bullied, my brother rushes over, his eyes red and bloodshot. Have you guys lost your mind? How dare you bully my sister? It was the finals that week. I came to my brother's new home with a stack of textbooks, hoping to study hard in a quiet environment for the upcoming exams. I had just flipped open my book for a few minutes when someone knocked on the door rapidly. I assumed that the plants I ordered were being delivered, so I opened the door without a second thought. Look, everyone. This is the face of the mistress Liam has been seeing in secret. As soon as I opened the door, a phone on a selfie stick was practically shoved in my face by a short woman with heavy makeup. Behind her was a large crowd of people. Who are you? You must have the wrong door, I stated with a frown. Before I could finish, they barged in, pushing me inside along with them. Humph. You're the one Liam has been having an affair with, huh? She's not even that pretty. The group of women shot hostile glares at me, and I felt very apprehensive. A wave of unease washed over me. Why are you trespassing into private property? Please leave immediately, I shouted at them anxiously. I tried to grab my phone, but a tall woman with wavy hair snatched it away before I could reach it. Did you want to call for backup? Like I'd let you. She glared at me with a spiteful expression. Then she shrieked, How dare you try to steal my from me, you mistress? I'm going to teach. Before I could even process what she meant when she mentioned the words mistress, and I was slapped hard across the face. The force of the slap stunned me. Look at that innocent expression she's putting on. See how good she is at putting on a show. This is the type of woman men always fall for and have an affair with. The woman who slapped me spat hatefully. She then massaged her palm and continued hurling accusations at me. Stop pretending. Don't try to deny that you know Liam. Can you swear to God that you're not his mistress? Liam Turner was my brother. Why did she keep claiming that I was his mistress? Every penny I spent was from the funds that my mother left for me. Yes, I know Liam. I'm his sister. I shot back. No one had ever hit me before, so my anger flared up. I screamed at the crowd of unruly women. Now that you know that Liam is my brother, get out of here this instant, you shameless vixen. That's what all mistresses claim to be when they're exposed. The woman sneered, digging her nails into the side of my cheek that she had slapped. My eyes stung with tears from the pain, but I couldn't push her hand away. Emma, look at this place. It's so big and luxurious. Liam is generous to this vixen, one of the women commented.
Emma.
The name rang a bell. I pushed her hand away forcefully and covered my aching cheek. Are you Emma Clark, my brother's girlfriend? I asked. Upon hearing my words, the crowd grew even angrier. You know Emma is Liam's girlfriend, yet you still chose to come between them. Look at this shameless piece of work, everyone. The short lady exclaimed, shoving her phone in my face again. I knew she was live streaming. In my anger, I knocked her phone to the ground. Put away your phone. I'm not a mistress, Emma. Before I could finish, the woman who was live streaming kicked me in the stomach. I stumbled and doubled over in pain. I'm Liam's sister. I'm his real sister, I blurted, my voice strained with pain and anger as I clutched my stomach. Everyone froze and looked at Emma. Does Liam have a sister? Emma's face fell as she answered. Yes, he does have a sister. Could we have made a mistake? If we hit Liam's sister, we're done for. As the crowd of women started doubting themselves, a voice rang out. She's lying. She's not Liam's sister at all. The live streamer Sarah Brown waved my student ID around smugly. Take a look, everyone. The mistress is so cunning. Not only does she deny that she's a mistress after being caught, but she's also lying by claiming to be the guy's sister. She held my student ID up to the camera and said, her name is Sylvia Monroe, and she's a sophomore at Avant Design Academy. How can you claim to be Liam Turner's sister when you don't even have the same last name? I panicked because she was exposing my personal information online by blatantly showing the internet my student ID. I tried to grab it back, but two women held. Emma became enraged. Feeling that I had tricked her, she slapped me hard.
Twice.
I felt the world around me spin as the metallic taste of blood filled my mouth. You vixen! How dare you trick me? I'll tear you apart. Emma cried out in a shrill voice as I was pinned down. I couldn't avoid her furious physical blows. We really are siblings, I said weakly. No one believed me. Everyone was fixated on the luxurious decor inside the villa. Liam spared no expense on you. I can't believe he set up such a lavish dwelling for you, Emma said with a sneer as she glanced around. Then she uttered two words coldly. Smash it. Come on, everybody. Keep those live gifts coming. The live gift demolition starts now. Sarah screeched excitedly. This house's decor was my wedding gift to Liam. I designed the layout and chose the design company myself. For over half a year, I'd been here every chance I had to monitor the workers. Panic surged through me when I heard that they were going to wreck the villa.
No.
Don't ruin the house. This is all my hard work. I struggled fiercely against the two women pinning me down. I clawed at them, leaving several gashes on their arms. They cursed as they tightened their grip. It wasn't the money I cared about. It was my work, my effort. The more agitated I was, the more pleased they were. Within minutes, the sound of smashing and breaking filled the room. The top-of-the-line TV was shattered. The leather couch and even the antique vases lay in pieces. Why, you're all insane. I'm calling the police on you, I said through clenched teeth, thoroughly maddened at the chaos that was unfolding. My words reached the ears of the woman restraining me. They jeered. What? This little tramp wants to call the cops? Will the police side with mistresses? This is a family matter. We're all Emma's family, and we're here to support her. They shoved and pinched me as I lay curled up on the ground, bracing myself against the pain.
What?
A viewer said that this painting is a world-renowned piece. How much is it worth? Did you say $400 million?
Sarah asked exaggeratedly.
This drew my attention immediately. I cried out, "Don't touch that painting. You can't afford it. It's worth $500 million. There's no way Liam would spend so much on a real painting for his mistress. It's definitely fake. A fake that size should still be quite valuable. Look at how panicked she is." The women stood in front of the painting, bickering away. "Don't touch that painting. If you damage it, you'll have to spend your entire fortune just to make up for the loss," I said angrily. Liam had bought this painting anonymously at an auction and specifically asked me to hang it in his new home. Upon hearing this, Emma grew angrier. I asked Liam to buy me a $50 million ring, and he refused. Yet he spent $500 million on a worthless painting for you. I ought to teach you a good lesson. She turned to the others and shouted, "Destroy that stupid painting. Everyone, watch as we stomp on a world-famous painting. Isn't this exciting?" Sarah yelled in excitement. They took down the painting and tore off the frame with their dirty feet. They trampled all over Liam's treasured masterpiece. I silently prayed and hoped that the art restorer would be able to repair the damage they had inflicted. "Get me a pair of scissors. Liam must have bought it for this tart as a token of their love." "I'm cutting it to pieces," Emma declared. All my remaining hope vanished. "Emma, you're going to regret this," I said helplessly. Didn't my brother say his girlfriend was sweet and gentle? Did he know that she was capable of such malicious acts? I watched in shock as the priceless painting was shredded to pieces. I felt numb all over when Emma's gaze landed on the $8 million piano. Afterward, I shot her a glacial stare. She walked up to the piano, her gaze fixated on its glossy surface. Then she ran her hand over a row of keys. The melodious sound of the piano echoed through the room. Emma's face contorted with fury as she came over to me. She yanked my hair and kicked me repeatedly. "You wretch. This is my favorite piano. Liam said he'd buy it for me. Yet here it is in your place." Emma screamed. I fell to the ground again as her high heels dug into me. The only thing I could do was curl up in defense. I gritted my teeth, wondering what kind of look would appear on Emma's face once she knew she was destroying her new marital home and piano. Then again, she didn't need the house anymore. I vowed not to let her become a part of the Turner family. How do you like the act of the mistress being torn apart? It's very satisfying, isn't it? Remember this tramp's name? Everyone. It's Sylvia Monroe. Feel free to dig up her details, Sarah said in her annoying voice. I thought I couldn't be humiliated any further. But then they found my most treasured possession upstairs. Emma, take a look at this. What is it? When I saw them holding the velvet box, I forgot all my pain instantly. In fact, I was so panicked that my speech failed me. Emma opened the box, lifted the cover, and took out the glass trophy I usually handled with the utmost care. It says, First Prize for Information Science. What's so special about this cheap trophy? It's in such a fancy box. Let's smash it, Emma said. I cried out, No, don't smash it. As Emma raised the trophy over her head to smash it, I ignored my pain and scrambled to my feet while shouting, You can break anything else. Give that trophy back to me, please. My mom and dad had won this trophy together. It was the country's most prestigious award for scientific research. Due to differences in their academic pursuits and conflicting views on family and love, my parents divorced. Later on, my father took my brother and went into business. He took advantage of the booming economy to establish Turner Group. Meanwhile, my mom left with the trophy and moved to Rivertown. There she dedicated herself to science. She would sometimes hold this trophy and gaze at it, lost in thought. I knew it reminded her of my dad, as this trophy symbolized their love. My mom never remarried. She raised me alone while pursuing her research. My mom passed away the year I became a freshman in the academy. This trophy wasn't only a testament to my parents' achievements, it was a symbol of their love and my mother's last keepsake for me. Emma glanced at the trophy in her hand, then at my trembling, desperate expression. Her next words were laced with venom. She said nonchalantly, Oh, so this cheap thing actually has sentimental value? Even better. She sneered, waving the trophy just out of my reach, her voice dripping with mockery. What a shame that it's your mother's last keepsake. Maybe smashing it will help you remember your place. My stomach twisted in a sickening knot as I watched her smirk widen, my heart hammering against my ribs. Every fiber in me was screaming to snatch the trophy from her hands, but the women around me closed in, their mocking laughter blending with the sound of my heartbeat pounding in my ears. I felt trapped, like a caged animal, forced to watch as Emma twisted everything that had once meant love and family into a cruel spectacle. My voice cracked as I pleaded, Emma, please.
Just give it back.
You've already destroyed everything else. That trophy is all I have left. But my words only fueled her cruelty. She tilted her head, pretending to consider my request, but I could see the gleam of amusement in her eyes. Oh, Sylvia, you poor thing, she cooed, twisting the knife deeper with every mocking syllable. Don't you see? This is all a consequence of your actions. Maybe if you weren't such a little homewrecker, none of this would be happening right now. She leaned closer, her face inches from mine, her voice a low, poisonous whisper. But I think we both know that Liam never would have bought all of this for his sister. Let's be honest. You had this coming. The word struck me like a physical blow. It was as though she had stripped away my dignity and left me raw, exposed, and humiliated before a crowd of strangers who took perverse pleasure in watching me crumble. I didn't know how to defend myself. I didn't know what words to say, or if any words could even matter to people so lost in their own twisted sense of righteousness. Emma's voice cut through my thoughts. I think it's time we show her just how little she really matters, she said, her eyes narrowing with a venomous glint. And with one swift, brutal motion, she hurled the trophy to the ground. The shattering sound filled the room, echoing around me as shards of glass scattered across the floor. My mother's last reminder, the symbol of everything she had accomplished, everything she had sacrificed, lay in pieces at my feet. I fell to my knees, reaching out in a daze to gather the fragments, my fingers trembling as I tried to piece together something that was far beyond repair. My vision blurred, and for a moment, the room faded as I was swallowed up by a wave of grief, fury, and despair that threatened to pull me under. Laughter echoed above me. Sarah's voice, shrill and mocking, taunted. Look at her, on her knees, picking up trash. You'd think she was groveling for forgiveness. The women around her snickered, their laughter blending with the distant buzzing of Sarah's live stream, capturing every humiliating second for their twisted audience. One of them sneered, "Guess that family pride of yours isn't worth much, huh, Sylvia?" I clenched my teeth, feeling the sting of their words. But as I looked up, something hardened inside me. I had been raised to be proud, to stand tall, to value the legacy my parents had left me. And here they were, strangers, desecrating everything I held dear with no remorse, no restraint. Slowly, I rose to my feet, the fragments of the trophy clutched in my hand. Blood dripped from where the glass had cut into my skin, but I barely felt it. My gaze met Emma's, my eyes cold and unwavering. "You don't know me," I said, my voice steady. "You don't know anything about my life, my family, or what this means to me. And one day, you're going to regret everything you did here." But my words only made her laugh louder. "Regret? Over a girl like you?" She scoffed, glancing at the women around her. "She thinks she's some kind of saint, doesn't she? This whole wrong sister act is just pathetic." The women jeered, their mocking expressions twisting my anger into something sharper, darker. My mind spun, 1,000 thoughts racing through me, each one more desperate and vengeful than the last. I imagined the look on Emma's face when she learned the truth. The shame, the horror when she realized she had destroyed her own future for nothing. And suddenly, a sense of clarity washed over me. They would regret this, every last one of them. But for now, I stood there, bleeding, humiliated, every part of me aching with the weight of what they had taken from me. I watched as they turned their attention to the other objects in the room, their frenzy spiraling out of control. They smashed my mother's antique vases, shredded the family photos, ripped apart the bookshelves, tearing through every part of the life I had carefully built. And when they were done, when there was nothing left to destroy, Emma looked at me one last time, her eyes filled with a twisted satisfaction. "I hope you remember this day, Sylvia. This is what happens when you cross someone like me." And with that, they filed out, leaving behind the wreckage of my home, my life, and everything I had once held dear. I stood there, alone amidst the ruins, the shattered remains of my past, and my dreams scattered around me. But even as the silence settled, even as the emptiness threatened to swallow me whole, I felt something else stir deep within me. A resolve, a fierce determination that burned brighter than any pain they had inflicted. They had taken everything from me, but they hadn't broken me. I would rebuild. I would rise from the ashes they had left, stronger than before. And one day, when they least expected it, they would see just what they had unleashed. They thought they could humiliate me, that they could erase everything I was. But they were wrong. This wasn't the end of my story. It was just the beginning. And I would make sure they remembered that. In the days that followed, everything felt like a blur of pain and silence. Every corner of my home, destroyed and defiled, seemed to echo with the violence and hatred those women had poured into it. I felt a bitter mix of rage and humiliation, but above all, an uncontrollable fury was growing within me. They had taken everything from me, my dignity, my home, the last memories of my mother. But there was one thing they hadn't taken, my resolve. Those women would not get away with this. Not after everything they had done. I vowed that each of them would taste the bitterness of their own cruelty. I began to plan meticulously, calculating every step and weighing every detail. I knew confronting them directly could be a mistake. Emma and her friends were masters at twisting the truth, at playing the victim, at spinning things to always look like the wronged ones. No, my revenge had to be slow, calculated, and precise. I needed the world to see their true colors without me having to utter a single word. The first step was to learn everything I could about each of them. Emma, of course, was my priority. Through mutual acquaintances, I learned that she loved flaunting herself at fancy events, relishing being the center of attention on social media, and presenting herself as a morally upright, elegant woman, almost like some modern-day heroine. I wondered what her followers would think if they knew just how far she would go to hold onto her power over someone she saw as a threat. So I started small. I created fake profiles, followed Emma and her friends from a distance, observing every post, every comment, every interaction. I needed to know their weak points, the things they hid that I could use against them. And I knew that, sooner or later, something would come up. It only took a few weeks before I found what I needed. One of Emma's friends, Sarah, the one who live-streamed my humiliation and exposed my personal details, had a thing for lavish parties funded by credit cards with questionable limits. Of course, she never posted about that. But I knew of someone who was familiar with Sarah and her indulgent night escapades, someone who was more than willing to talk for a price. Once I gathered the evidence I needed, I made sure to anonymously spread everything across social media and gossip groups. She tried to keep up an image as a responsible businesswoman, but what followed was a disaster. Her conservative husband was bombarded with messages and screenshots, and her reputation crumbled. Next was Orla, the one who had so gleefully recorded the show in my apartment. I discovered that she was involved in illegal sales, peddling counterfeit items online to a select group of clients. After collecting enough evidence, I filed an anonymous tip to the authorities, and soon, Orla's home was raided. She lost her license, her income, and, unsurprisingly, the trust of many people around her. The public outrage was immense, and her social media accounts were flooded with hateful comments, calling her a criminal and a fraud. But Emma was a different case altogether. She was the centerpiece of it all, the woman who had led the attack, who had destroyed what was left of my parents' legacy in that trophy. I knew I had to be especially meticulous with her, and I was. After weeks of watching her every move, I learned that she had started planning her wedding with Liam. That lit a new kind of fire in me, a renewed sense of rage, but also gave me the perfect opening for my final move. I reached out to some influential friends in the event industry, people Emma would never suspect. I managed to create a series of seemingly random incidents that began to disrupt her wedding preparations. I invited people who knew her deepest, darkest secrets to high-profile events where I knew she'd be present. And, without her ever suspecting a thing, I began to leave clues about her real character that people would naturally uncover. The breaking point came on her wedding day. Emma, in all her glory, stood there, radiant, like a fairy tale princess beside Liam. I had received an invitation, which I discarded, but I had other plans for that day. The same video Orla had recorded in my apartment still existed, saved in her cloud storage, where she never would have imagined anyone could access it. I hacked into the file and programmed it to play on a projector in the wedding reception hall. The room was packed, hundreds of guests, family, and friends of Emma and Liam. The video started playing suddenly, Emma's and her friends' voices echoing throughout the hall, their insults, the destruction, and finally, the footage of them smashing the trophy that symbolized my parents' life and legacy. Everyone in the hall was frozen, staring in disbelief. Liam, pale and motionless, looked up at the screen, unable to process what he was seeing. Emma's mask was finally coming undone. The room descended into chaos. Whispers quickly escalated to gasps and cries of outrage, with guests casting disapproving glances at Emma, who stood there paralyzed with horror. She tried to deny it, but the evidence was undeniable. There she was, in high definition, her true nature on full display. The perfect bride, the supposedly sweet and loyal woman, was now exposed for the hypocrite and cruel person she truly was. I felt a strange satisfaction watching her world crumble as she had shattered mine. That night, Emma tried desperately to explain, claiming it was all a setup, a conspiracy against her. But no one believed her anymore. Liam, furious and humiliated, stormed out of the hall without a backward glance. The guests whispered, pointed, and Emma was left alone, the very image of the humiliation she had tried to impose on me. Months passed, and Emma's life became a living nightmare. Liam had called off the wedding, and he refused to speak to her. Her reputation was irreparably tarnished, and every door that had once opened so easily for her was now firmly shut. She tried, in vain, to salvage some form of social support, but the internet, the very place she and her friends had humiliated me, had now become her worst enemy. As for me, I moved on. I relocated, focused on my studies, and rebuilt my life with new goals and a sense of peace that they had once tried to steal from me. The world was finally back in balance, and those women, who had once loomed like shadows in my life, were now nothing but memories of a long-awaited justice. I carried on, head held high, knowing that my greatest victory was not only surviving but finding the strength to rise again.